Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode 229. Thank you for joining us tonight. Brian is here. Brian, thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, Jim. Way to hold down the fort. Thank you to everyone who called in. It was a good episode. I really appreciate it. Jim,
Yep, thank you to Crooked, Drewski, JD, Agent Chris, and then eventually to Powwow with Max Marvel and Snarkcast and everybody else who was there. And everyone who hung out in the chat. And poor Todd Hayter came later on. He was like, sorry, I was at a brewery. And I was like, nah, you did the better call.
Yeah, I mean, I was proud that you were able to actually get that set up to work and record pretty decently.
I'm actually shocked it worked. I thought it was going to be a disaster and I'd be recording again halfway through the week and just doing a standard episode.
No, it turned out well, so thank you.
What I do wish, I have regrets. My biggest regret is that I didn't configure it to separately record the chat as it was going on, because there is some good stuff going on there. Z and Drewski got in this big thing going on about digital versus physical, and it was awesome. I was like, fuck, I couldn't share it with the world. And I also wish that I spent a little more time with the camera, because I was like, oh, this will be here. It looked fine, but then the entire episode, you can see it in some of the cutaways. It's just me hunched over like this almost. And I was like, because I was originally just going to have a camera view of me and the talking in the background kind of deal. Then when I'm watching it, I was like, oh, that's not going to work. Had to make some executive decisions, Brian. It was a learning experience.
Editing's fun, right, Jim?
Oh, is it ever. But it was good to realize that I could do a little bit on Discord and not completely screw it up.
No, that was really cool. So, once again, thank you to everyone who did help set up last week's episode. I appreciate it. It's not like I was going away anywhere for fun. Life happens. But, yeah, I am back, and I gotta say, I probably was pretty close, Jim. The Rageful Brian almost came out tonight, and I probably could have ended up in jail tonight. I'll just say, people, if you are a coach for a kids' sports team, teach kids how to behave and don't talk back to the other coaches. That's all I'm going to say. Jim, here, I would describe you, Jim, in your late stages of life that you're in right now.
Yes.
You're always angry.
Yes.
Whereas I think I'm fairly cool-headed, but I have a deep burning rage. And
we do. We've kind of role reversed, because you used to be angry all the time.
Yeah.
And then you mellow it out.
If you allow it to bubble to the surface, it bubbles. So it was getting there tonight as I was coaching my son's football game.
It bubbled.
So yeah, it was, I came in hot today. But no, I'm glad to be back. Of course, chugging along with some great pumpkin beers tonight. I think I talked about this before. I still have some leftovers of the Elysian Night Owls. I actually got a really cool. It's a take on Young Frankenstein. It's called I think it's called Young Pumpkinstein. It's from Chamonix Creek. It's a pumpkin dunkel, I believe, with candied. Not candied ginger. There's something that's not. It didn't seem like a standard pumpkin beer, so unfortunately it was just straight room temperature. And although most beer is pretty good at there, I kind of have to have it cold at first. So yeah, that's why I'm hitting Old Faithful with Elysian. But as I said, Jim, came in hot, so I downed a quick Lion's Head right before I did that. So yeah, Lion's Head in a bag, salami and cheese sandwich down. Now I moved on to pumpkin beers. So yeah, how about you, Chambers?
Brian, you're eating like a king. You envy no man.
I mean, when in Rome, right?
Indeed. I didn't have any new pumpkin beer, and everything I had wasn't really cold. So I was able to go in the old beer fridge, and I had some from the Wicked Weed Brewing Company. I had some more of their Prime, their Pernicious India Pale Ale.
Pernicious. Okay.
Pernicious. I think that's how you say it. I don't fucking know. 7.3% alcohol by volume, and oh, Brian.
God damn it.
This hop delivery vehicle is crafted to be enjoyed fresh and often. Hand-selected New Zealand, Australian, and American hops set this beer apart from all others. Its drinkability and clean finish will lead you to never look at IPAs the same way again.
Disappointed you're not doing Pumpkin Jim.
Yeah, well, whatever. Fuck it. Gives a shit.
But Jim, when else can you enjoy the delicious flavor?
Look, Brian, I needed something because the good old the Toad glass is back, Brian. Finally out of storage. Finally unpacking more shit. So got that going. First episode in the game room. It is, as you can see, very much in transition right now. But finally built my new desk for it. I'm in the corner. Actually have a pretty good lighting setup going on right now, so I'm surprised by that.
What is that thing on top of your shelf? It looks like an IV bag.
What, that back there?
Yeah.
That was the bag that has Body Harvest in my retro tank.
No. The very top.
Oh, the very top? Oh, that is just like an odor grabber thingy. Because it's not like an air freshener. It's like those weird gel pellet
for moisture.
Things. Yeah, it like soaks up moisture and all that. So, because this after this week and a half of rain that we had, my entire basement smelled like a wet sock. So I went out and bought a dehumidifier. I have those fucking things over the goddamn place. Yeah, it's a thing.
Every day is a dream, Jim.
Every day, it's better than the one before. I mean, even at its most humid, my old basement didn't smell like this, but this one does. So that's good.
Sounds like you're moving on up.
Yep. But yeah, I'm in here. I actually have it's like a curtain rod randomly in the corner here. You can see it up here. So I'm like, I guess if I ever did some kind of like fancied up my own separate videos, or I guess I could easily hang a green screen from that and shit like that.
Yeah.
So there's things I could do here. So yeah, it's gonna be a process, Brian. I have like 3 giant ass bookshelves coming tomorrow that I'm gonna have to put together. So yeah, then the game unpacking and all that crap will begin.
Jim, the fun never ends.
It doesn't. It's gonna be a long process. And like the ones I got, like the reviews are all like, yeah, this is a good quality shelf, but it's a pain in the ass to get put together. And I was like,
so what shelves did you get?
They're the Henleys. I forget what the real company is. I don't think they're the Atlantics. The pre-packs, I think they're called. I forget. It's one of the Amazon brands, but it's one of like the better ones.
Nice.
And there was a sale going on, so like I didn't spend as much as they go for because they are expensive. But I'm doing it once. I'm doing it right.
In theory, until you have to move.
In theory. In theory, yes.
So, Chambers.
I'm in here. It's going. Bri, what have you been playing? Because I haven't played shit because I spent all goddamn weekend throwing out boxes and filling up a dumpster. So, outside of a couple games of Tetris and F-Zero 99, I haven't delved into anything.
So, yeah, last week, because I was traveling, I wasn't here so it might as well be 3 days and everything that's been going on. So, Starfield has been kind of my go-to. I finished one of the main 4 faction things. That's out of the way. I dipped a little deeper. I cleared out a bunch of side missions. So, I think I hit this point in every Bethesda game where at first, I think, and I don't know if all gamers do this, you go through the stage of you start the game and you're an extreme hoarder because you don't know what you're going to need, when you're going to need it, and you collect everything. And then you get to that point, it's like, all right, well, I got my pretty good guns. I'm going to stop picking up every gun. I'm going to stop doing this. And then you start honing in, I know what my loadout's really going to be. I have a million side missions. I'm accepting from everyone, but I'm still kind of hoarding and crafting. I'm at the stage now where I've pretty much given up hoarding, and I'm like, all right, I'm just ammo and health. And I'm just trying to go through the story. So it's I put all the crafting and shit on back burner, just because I want to get through the story at this point. I still really enjoy the game, but I also realize it's finally setting in how goddamn big this game is. And it's it's so much bigger than Skyrim, and it makes sense because Todd Howard in an interview said this truly is a game that's meant to be played over a year or more. It's not meant to just be powered through and you see everything. You're really supposed to go through it. You can blast through the main story and even the factions probably 40, 60 hours, whatever. But everything else, if you really want to explore all the planets, see all the side missions, it's not meant for that. The typical Skyrim 80 is not going to cover it. So,
oh boy,
my mindset has changed. I want to get through the main story, So that way I can finish that for this year, do other games, and this will always be my go-to, like, kind of chill-out game now. So, still, great game. Love it. I don't have anything negative to say about it. I keep discovering more and more, like, kind of really cool moments, things, Easter eggs, whatever you want to call them. And because it's sci-fi, you get all the little sci-fi references. So, yeah, still really enjoying it. Still highly suggested for you, even if it's not something you're going to beat this year. It's something I think you would actually really like once you get your shit set up and settled.
Yeah, that's the old chestnut there. And once I get something that can play it. So
I keep forgetting that, yeah.
Yep. But no, I mean, I do love Bethesda-style games, so I'm sure I would enjoy it. You know, it's time. Where's the time? Where's the system? Where's the console? Right, I could have bought an Xbox Series X, but I bought shelves, so lucky me.
So now you do the adult thing and just compound your debt and go buy it and enjoy life and then go to the grave with tons of debt. That's how you live.
That's future Jimmy's problem. And according to you saying I'm in my late stages at 37, there's not much more to go. So I'm ahead of the game, really. Just rack that thing the fuck up and check out.
James.
The stress-related stroke that I'm going to take one day. I'm probably going to take out a city block with me.
Jim, you're going to attempt falling down, but you're going to literally fall down as you try to go on that rampage.
I'm going to fall down, shit myself, and shoot myself somehow.
There's
going to be an order of falling, shitting, and shooting myself. That'll be... I don't know what the order is going to be. It's going to be like the world's worst fuck, marry, kill.
I know that's one of your favorite movies, and I said, movies like that, they don't make enough of. Like that one we talked about before. Did you see the one where Russell Crowe like goes nuts in traffic?
Yes, I did.
That was great. That had very falling down vibes to it. And I'm like, there's not enough of those movies. Because you can like kind of relate, you know? Like,
yeah,
there's definitely a lot. Like, I'm sure going through traffic, everyone can relate to like that one moment where you're like, this is really pissing me off. I could just like ram my car into this person right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Happens more often than you would think. Actually, speaking of Russell Crowe, I just watched. He's in this weird spot now. We went from being on like all these like A-list like Hollywood movies and like Oscars, and now he's doing like stuff that's barely released and then goes on like streaming like 3 months later. Like I watched The Pope's Exorcist and like it's kind of a crap movie, but like it's just dumb. It's fun. It's completely predictable, but it's just like
I didn't see that one yet.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's like it's just weird seeing him in a movie like that.
I mean, shit, he's done... did you see that one he did with Ryan Gosling? It was like Good Guys.
No, I want to see that. I heard good things.
That was pretty funny. That one, I still don't know the name of it. That one we just talked about, The Rage. He was randomly Zeus and Marvel with Thor. Like, so... Yeah, he's all over the map. He's just taking paydays. He's probably just enjoying himself. He's like, I don't want to stay in shape. I don't need to stay in shape.
Good for fucking him.
I feel like he gave up all of his seriousness after American Gangster.
That's probably right.
Like, I feel like he did that, and he's like, you know what? I got Gladiator under my belt. I got that. I got the... What was his boxing
Got a Beautiful
movie?
Mind.
Yeah, what was the boxing one? Was it Cinderella Man?
Yeah, Cinderella Man. That was good.
So, like, he's probably like, you know what? I did enough serious shit. I'm just going to fuck around, get paid, and go eat meats. Like, that's all.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I could be an A-list leading man, but I got to work for it. So, yeah.
The real question is, can you track his downfall after a South Park episode about him?
Right. We're men of science over here, all right? There could be a
Just
correlation. Well, I'll say.
Just saying, think about it, Jim.
I just did and agreed?
Well, think more.
No, it hurts.
But, Chambers, one thing you did mention last week, you were holding some Patreon questions, and you want to say them for this week because they're Halloween-related, horror-related. So, Chambers, let's fire away. What awesome questions do we have from last week and this week from Patreon?
All right, so patreon.com/drinkABeer and play a game, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get the bonus segments of these Power Hour episodes. Brian, this week we talked about the Seminole?
I see what you did there.
Pinball and Japanese smut combination of Senran Kagura Peach Ball. Brian, we talked about the game itself. We talked about the story of me having to go to a store and pick it up and have a woman hand it to me. We talked about it all, Brian. We discussed why they love cat girls so much. It's worth your $1. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we're men of culture, and we covered a lot. So,
and we actually got through that segment without doing a single samurai voice, and that is goddamn impressive for us, Brian.
Oh, god damn it, Jim.
You know I'm right.
You are right.
First up from Michael Soto. What's a game that was critically hated, but you personally loved? I have a handful of them myself, but I'm curious as to what quote-unquote shitty games others have enjoyed.
Critically hated. That's the part. I mean, couldn't that technically be... Are most CODs critically hated? I don't even know at this point.
They get, at the worst, they get like middling reviews, but
okay.
They're not like hated.
Do you have one? Because I'm typing in some right now that like I really gotta think about, because I see the problem is, and we've said this, like, of all the things I actually do look up, like game reviews, I never take, like, I put absolutely zero stock in. I mean, I guess now also, how do you define, like, we know the way video game scores work anymore. It's like if you're not getting an 8, it's considered bad, right? So one game that is a go-to, we talk about all the time on this podcast and in our channel, but The Punisher got actually pretty bad reviews. It got C's, it got 5s out of 10s, it got a few 72, like 73 is the highest it got out of 100. So most of them are in the 60s to 50s. IGN actually gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry, that was actually best. But
wow, a rare IGN win.
Yeah, so people apparently gave it very middling for a game that I would still argue is one of the best Marvel games ever.
Yeah, easily.
So yeah, that's an easy one where I'm like, I really love it. I think we've said games are hated too much, like Shaq Fu going down as the worst game ever is bullshit, considering we've named like 25 other terrible beat 'em ups alone that were way worse. So
I mean, do I go back to the well, Brian? Do I talk about how I love my rings in Superman? You don't get much more critically hated than that.
No, because that deserves its hate. You're just fucked up and wrong.
Even though that's correct, I can't argue that statement.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to pick an actual, like I just gave The Punisher, which anyone who actually plays it, I don't know who plays that game and goes, this is terrible. You can understand why people hate Superman. You were just gasping at straws.
Oh no, the rest of Superman is awful and unplayable.
The rings are terrible too. Don't you
Wrong.
dare. Don't you
Wrong.
dare. Don't you dare.
Do I say it because I mentioned my nostalgia for it? But goddamn, I do like Big Bumpin' from the Burger King games. Like none of them got any good critical scores really.
That was actually, yeah, that's.
And you know what? Especially multiplayer, Big Bumpin's a fucking blast. So I mean, it maybe got 5s at best from review scores, like critically. I don't even know if it got really reviewed by anything, but yeah, I mean, it's a Burger King game, so it has that. It's got that smegma on it there of that reputation. But it's a fun time.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. I another one I would honestly say you and I have talked about. It's buried for a good reason, but South Park Rally.
Yeah, we are defenders of that.
It got 2s and 3s. The highest it got is like maybe a random 4 out of 10. Here's the deal. We played it. If you play with a buddy, it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun take on a kart racer. And if you grew up and enjoyed that humor, it's fine.
It's super frustrating because of the difficulty curve in single player. Like, I totally get that. But, yeah, I think it deserves way better scores than that.
Yeah.
And I was just about to say one, and then I forgot it, so fuck it.
No, I think there are plenty of games out there that have that. And it's like one of those deals where I truly don't believe. I think if you are really on the fence about buying a game, and if it's like really expensive, and by really expensive I mean you're gonna invest more than $25 for, and you're on the fence, find a reviewer that you kind of feel like you share opinions with, and do that. Because if you do aggregates, I don't trust those ever. But yeah, I mean,
Problem
it's easy
Child
to
getting a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know that.
Get out of here.
After seeing that, I'm like, God damn it.
All
So
right. Next up, Brian.
Good question.
This is the one I saved you for, definitely. Favorite Tales from the Crypt episode from JD Maines.
So it's funny because I actually just bought all the seasons on DVD, and the wife and I have been going through and rewatching them.
Titties.
There's a lot of really great episodes. I'm really bad with remembering the names. Like, I know from season 1, the one where it's the mom from Monster Club and a bunch of other 80s movies, and it's like the imposter Santa that's actually a serial killer. That one's really good. The one with Lance Hendrickson, I believe, the guy who played
Bishop, yeah.
Bishop. Him and I forget the other guy, but like they basically hate each other, and they play these poker games where they just fucking hate each other. And they get to the point where they do like chop poker, so every time they lose a hand, they literally like chop off a finger or a body part.
Well,
and it's just, the episode is about shit talking and whatever. And then of course the werewolf vampire combo episode of who was the guy that played Bond? Not Jeffrey. 2 or 3 Bonds before Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, so not Roger Moore.
Something Dalton.
Timothy Dalton, yeah.
Timothy Dalton. Him and Beverly D'Angelo from, obviously, the Vacation. She looks damn fine. She's a vampire. He's a werewolf.
She was a piece back in the day.
Yeah. So, young Brian definitely enjoyed that episode. I haven't seen it in a while, but I sure as shit enjoyed that episode as a young man. So,
with the milk tank sound, Brian?
I mean, they weren't nude, but they might as they did the job, Jim. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
They did the job. So that was a great one. And then there was one random one where it was a retelling of Three Little Pigs. I almost call it in green jelly style, like the song.
Yeah.
So that was the only animation episode they ever did. But going back and rewatching Tales from the Crypt, my God, did they just have so many fucking hitters in those episodes? Like, I love watching them. But those ones I just named, those are the ones off the top of my head. The wife and I are only halfway through season 2. So, when I'm done, if I find a new one that dethrones any of those, I'll say it. But I love that question. So good job, JD.
Yeah, I'm actually really pissed that I can't, like I used to watch them all the time as a kid, like the censored version. I'd be on like Fox on like a Saturday at like midnight. So obviously I wasn't getting like the full Tales from the Crypt experience. But I watched them all the time, but it's been like 20 some years, so I barely remember like any of them. Like I remember like I wound up seeing the one with Dennis Leary like a couple times, so I'd probably go with that one. But yeah, I just I don't remember as much as I do. So I would love I should do that this year. Go back and watch a few.
You definitely should.
They got to be on one of those streaming services. So
I don't even think they're, even though they originally aired on HBO and I have HBO Max, I don't even think they're on that. Like, that's why I resorted to buying them. I somewhere on one of my hard drives, but I think it's one of the ones that crashed. I think I downloaded them, of course, legally.
Right. Don't be a pussy and spend $2,000 to save your hard drive.
Dude, that was so fucking ridiculous. I'm like, what? No, it's a show that I think has aged actually really, really well. And yeah, of all the shit they re-stream nowadays, bring fucking Tales from the Crypt back. Come on.
Yeah, for real. I'm surprised that's never gotten a reboot. Is like the voice of the Crypt Keeper dead, so they don't want to even like try and besmirch that? I think Billy West could pull off something close. Watch him be the one who did it before.
But no, I love that question now.
Next up from Todd Harrod Sucks. Was watching some old commercials and saw the "What's Up" one. What's your favorite commercial, local or national?
Mine is really stupid, and I'm going to say it. I don't even know what it's for, but it's the one where the guy's in the dentist chair and his mouth is propped open and the dentist sneezes in his mouth and the guy's like, like it's probably for fucking insurance or something stupid, but like it legit will make me laugh so hard every time. And I know it's so fucking stupid, but like if you give me that, I'm sorry. Like there's so much better commercials out there, but that's the one I think of when I think of what has really like made me legit laugh, not just like a quick like like it's the whole setup.
I know you, Brian. And anything where someone has to whine and go, God damn it. Look at, I'm getting like a schoolgirl over here. You know what? I mean, I'm going Philly proud on this one, Brian. Fucking Robin's Diamonds. I miss those commercials.
Oh God, Robin Rocks.
Yeah. So for anyone who isn't in the Philly tri-state area, in Delaware, the home of tax-free shopping, there is a jewelry store called Robin's Diamonds, and in our area, especially through the 90s, they were blasting out commercials like on all like ABC, NBC, CBS, so 3, 6, and 10. You would always see them like daytime TV during the commercial breaks for the news and stuff like that. And it would just be like these 3 people who worked there awkwardly dancing in like a 70s leisure suit. Can't talk. And the main guy had an actual diamond in his beard. He had like the first dermal that I had ever seen in my life. And they would sing a song, and he had this really deep voice. It's like, Jerry's got a diamond in his beard. Lots of people think that's pretty weird. And it's just like, if you're not from this area, you're going to be like, what the fuck's Jim talking about? But if you're from this area, you're going to go, yep, I remember my Robin's Diamonds commercials.
Jim, I'm going to throw 2 at you. 1, I'm shocked you didn't go with the good old...
the six-pack store with the girls with cleavage?
Well, it pertains to girls with cleavages, but I forget if it's Miller Lite, Bud Light, but the twins... I like Bud Light and twins.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Holy crap.
I don't even know which beer thing it is. Like, I forget if it's Coors, Miller, or Bud.
Nah, who cares?
But you know what? There is one other one I will say. There's 2 others. Let me just throw that out there. With the best jingle ever. Crossfire. You'll get caught up in the... most epic. That's the most epic game commercial of all time, and a song I still hold near and dear. And then there's one I still don't know if it ever actually aired on TV, but I've seen it on enough like YouTube channels. It's the one where it's like, you know, all those really goofy Skittles commercials where it's like people have like Skittles on their face or something.
Yes. Oh, are you talking about that really raunchy one that got banned in America?
Where the dude's banging a girl and he's like, and then he's just like a squirt. It's like, taste the rainbow.
I think that did actually come out in like other countries, but it wasn't shown here.
Yeah, I definitely saw it, and I was like, oh, this must be fake. And then I realized, oh, no, this is a real commercial. Yeah, but it just got banned here, so.
Yeah, we made a trade with Europe. They kept all the nudity, and we kept all the violence on our TV.
Yeah, so, yeah, commercials are a... Man, thinking back in the day, they had to be so much better, and now they're just whatever.
Brian, obviously the one near and dear to our hearts for, what was it Hams or was it Schlitz? Where it starts with the bartender going, I don't like a beer made for women.
Oh, the most perfect timing that you ever had, I think, on anything we've done.
Anything I've ever done in my life, really.
Because what'd you say? You're like, I'm actually shocked at the lack of misogyny or
yeah,
something.
That was like the exact quote. And then immediately, I don't like a beer made for women. I can't believe how that worked out.
I like that. I like that, though. I think, you know what, Jim? We did 2 beer commercial ones. We need to find some more. We just need to find good, just random beer commercial ones that we need to watch.
Yeah, I think we're down for that. Nice little breakup with the usual. But next up, from Bird Retinas. With amusement park rides, what are the ones that you still enjoy or would never get on again?
It's different through a lens with having kids. Because now it's like whatever they can actually go on. I know you're a huge amusement park guy. I mean, me, if there's like some haunted version of a ride, of course I like those. Roller coasters are fine, but like, they do nothing for me at this point, and I've never found the value in just waiting for them when they're over so fast. So it's like, if my kids really like them, I'll do them. But like, I don't know. The whatever adrenaline or dopamine I used to get as a kid, they don't do shit for me now. So, yeah, like I don't have a go-to ride anymore because I don't go on rides. It's really just whatever my kids will drag me on. As far as rides I don't want to go on anymore, just probably anything like crazy long. It's a generic answer, but anything crazy long rides that's like a second long. So a lot of the really big height drop ones and shit that like, it's just not worth my time. There's zero value in it for me. So I'd rather go on some boring little mini roller coaster that I can do 10 times in a row versus wait an hour to do one thing that lasts 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, that was a thing. So yeah, that's probably where I'm at.
Yeah, I think like the best roller coaster like around our area, and obviously I haven't trekked too far outside of the tri-state area, but at Six Flags El Toro, oh my god, it's so good. It's like one of the world's fastest wooden roller coasters, but it's like still super smooth. Because like I like the aesthetic of old wooden roller coasters, but here's the thing with wooden roller coasters: they always fucking hurt. They're janky as shit. You bounce around like crazy, and your neck always hurts by the end of them. Like the Great Nor'easter down Wildwood. Oh my god, the Great White. I mean,
oh yeah,
like you were hurting by the time you're off that thing. But like you were saying, like the ones you could keep going on. Hershey Park used to have this one called Lightning and Thunder. It was an old wooden roller coaster, and it was one of those dueling ones, and it was fun. And it was all the way in like the back of the park, and it was old, so it had like no, it had no riz to it, as the kids like to say these days, Brian. And
fuck,
it was around like an area that was like under construction, so half the people didn't even know it was open. So that's one that you could just like go on and keep going back on again and again and again and again because you were the only fuckers on it, and it was awesome. And I don't even think that ride's there anymore, which is really sad. You know what I never liked? I never liked the sea serpent. The goddamn
really
never liked it. As a kid, it traumatized me, like being on the back, because you want to go on the back because that's where you fly.
That's the spot. Yeah,
that's the spot. But it's also where I was like, I'm gonna die, like thinking I was just gonna fall out of that goddamn thing the entire time.
You know what like one of the ones that's like freakier now that I'm older is it the Falcon? Those ones that go really high and then just drop.
Oh, the ones that like just shoot you off?
No. It's like just a vertical stack, and it lifts up. Oh, goes to the top and just drops.
There's like chairlift drops things.
Yeah, I'm also at the point where it's like now, thanks to the internet, like after seeing that one that like failed and how badly that failed, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, and you said the thing with the neck, like that's the other thing is with my neck issues, like I'm also now at the point where it's like, I just can't do some of them. And I'm not going to go through it because it's not even fun enough for me to like sit through and be like, I'll deal with the pain.
Oh, dude, I don't know who like okayed those ones that like you go through it and then you go through it again backwards, because you no matter what, you can just never prepare your neck for it, and you're just like hunched over like this the whole way back, and you're just like wrecking yourself.
Yeah.
See, when you have the G-forces coming at you, Brian, you have the headrest and you're okay. When you're going backwards, you're dropping all over the fucking place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's one of those things as kids, you couldn't get me off any of them. Right. Now I'm just like, meh.
Right. Are you one of the types who could do the spinning rides or couldn't? Because I could go into Gravitron like 10 times in a row. And they don't even let you. They don't even let you go upside down anymore in the Gravitron. They're like, oh, you gotta hold the sides and stay there. Like, fuck that. That's boring. Like, I want to shimmy around and shit like that. And then when it gets slow, I fall and land on my neck, like as you're supposed to. That's the fun.
Jim, I was definitely I would force myself to stand up on it. Like, come on, I would go crazy on those.
I could see you being that type.
Yeah, I mean, I there wasn't a ride that I wasn't upset. Like, the faster, the whatever, none of them. I hated teacups as a kid because I felt like those were girly rides, and now I appreciate how fast you can make them go.
Oh, dude, if you get a Total Whirl going, the best place to do Total Whirls is on those like little pop-up carnivals, because those things have like the ball bearings are like barely working to stop you. So, like, you could just sit there and just go, like, 1,000 miles per hour spinning and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, of course, you have your kid with you, and they're like, keep going, Daddy. So you're, like, just, like, constantly doing it for the entire, like, 10 minutes. And you have to...
And then you're like, oh, shit, they're starting to slip. No.
Damn it.
But, yeah, no, rides, they lost their luster for me. But now it's just... whatever the kiddos want to do at this point. So I'm sure I'll rediscover all of them at some.
Yeah, like everything else,
stage.
Brian. Kids are so goddamn expensive. I don't have the money to spend it on myself. So I was like, here you go. Get your rides in now.
Exactly. There's that too.
Yep. And last up for this week's episode from JD Mains. What's your favorite limited release beer? Should breweries brew popular limited release beers, or is the scarcity of great limited release beers part of the charm? Yes.
See, as much as we talk about limited release for things like games, where I think that's horseshit, beer makes sense to me, knowing the process and like some of the things. A lot of tired hands. There's been a few, and unfortunately, I can't tell you the exact name because they literally, I would say almost bi-weekly, like have a new beer, try it out, it's good, it's gone. They have a lot of great beers. There was I want to say a version of pumpkin or some pumpkin beer that was aged in something that they only did the one time, and I was like, God damn, this was like really delicious, because I had the pumpkin and rum, and that didn't impress me that much. But whatever version that this beer was in, and I'll have to look it up, but I can't remember. But yeah, like some of those I don't get why they're only one-offs, but for microbreweries or smaller breweries, it makes sense, because you're constantly experimenting with different styles, and then you just retire it.
Yeah, you know what it is? When it comes to like a game, there's really no reason for it to be limited.
Yeah.
Like you could easily make enough stock for everyone who wants to buy it. But for a beer, you know what? It can be tough. Depends if you import some kind of like bullshit ingredients that you want to mix in there. Or, of course, there's FOMO in marketing, which, you kind of hate it, but you also get it. But, there could be legit times where it's like, all right, we imported some, fucking expensive nectar from the Amazon or some bullcrap like that we infused into beer for this special release. So, At least there, it makes a lot more sense than fucking limited run.
Yeah, FOMO and beer makes no sense to have, just because it's so easy to fall in that trap, and you're never going to catch up. Like, there's never going to be a time you can just have, unless you pick one brewery that has it, and that's where the only place you buy beer. FOMO in gaming to me makes more sense, because like we're saying, like there should be a quantity enough where you could get it, and even you can get it secondhand, whereas beer, the chances that you have bottle collectors who you can secondhand buy, it's pretty rare. Like, not saying that there aren't people who don't overbuy like limited runs of beers. They're not really buying it usually for resale. They're buying it for friends to keep at home. Like it's not like gaming resellers.
Me with my case of Rush beer.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not doing that because you're going to turn around and sell it. You're doing it because you like Rush and you want to have extras.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't get it in the United States. So I was like, yeah, here, for people who like the brand, here, one for you, shit like that. I gave one to my uncle, and he was like, holy shit, thank you.
Yeah. Nah, I like that question. Thank you, bud.
Yep, and thank you to all of our patrons once again for all the support. So head on over to Patreon. We actually have to talk after the episode, Brian, because you never responded to the goddamn group chat. We might be recording a bonus episode this week. So, so stick around. All the different tiers gets you game review requests, bonus episodes of the podcast, bonus segments of the podcast, questions that we'll answer every single time, movie review requests, all kinds of good stuff. Use us as a billboard in the description. Everything, link will be below. Check them out, or don't. Whatever. And if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, head on over to the other platforms. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave some comments. It helps out the page.
Truly appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. All right, Chambers. So we tried to escape it, but we got another Bud Light little article here.
I told you, Brian. Last week was your chance. That was your one shot to be away from it. You fucked up.
It's back, and it's back in a way that pisses me off. Coming to us from the Daily Beast, but also as a tweet, and I'll have the picture right here. John Fetterman, the embarrassment of a senator from PA that we have, who I get it. You do the hoodie thing. Fucking grow up.
Man.
fucking grow up. You look like Lurch, and you're wearing that. Like, there's so many things. Right.
That's not fair to Lurch. Now he's more Shrek-like.
But there is one. I do like a good troll.
Fucking really, like, you put him against Dr. Oz. Like, you're gonna put anyone else against him. Of course he's gonna fucking win. Fucking Dr.
Oz, I know.
Stupid goddamn state. I swear to Christ.
But he basically sent over a case of Bud Light to James Comer.
Comer?
I think that's his name. Yeah. Who's basically he's the chair of the oversight committee for
impeachment on Biden.
Impeachment on Biden.
Like, this is how I heard that they were trying to impeach Biden, and I'm like,
I never heard that either. So I was like, oh, okay. So once again, I appreciate a good troll, a good joke, whatever. The fact that you and I, neither of us knew about the impeachment of Biden. I don't even know what they're trying to impeach him for, but
I'm gonna guess probably doesn't have legs. I'm gonna shoot my shot on that one, Brian.
Even if that's whatever the case is, though, would it? I mean, take this all the way down. Imagine a situation where the impeachment goes through and it actually happens. Does that make John Fetterman look worse for doing this troll?
Do I have to hope it happens now? So for anyone who doesn't know, I think, or maybe Brian, yeah, he already said it. He sent a case of Bud Light to Comer. Because Bud Light's the gay beer now, so, and like, oh, this will trigger. See, the fucking righties on social media, goddamn, like, gayed them up so much that they, like, now it's like Bud Light's the easy troll for like normies to do. It's like, oh god, this is so dumb. And like, there's a handful of people I saw on Twitter who are like, oh, fucking epic troll, and it's like, it's not really. It's dumb.
It's not. It's dumb. No, what I'm saying is
lazy.
Well, it's lazy. It's corny. I appreciate I appreciate the act of doing something that's like not the standard. I hate that's coming from this guy because that's kind of what he represents. It's like stupid prank, whatever.
How about this? How about this, Brian? I don't want trolling or personality from my government. I don't need my government to do that.
I agree.
Why don't you do something to help? Like, it worked for Trump because Trump is Trump. So, yeah. Like, he's lightning in a bottle. Like, hate him all you want. I don't, fine. I get it. But he's still a funny motherfucker with some good quips. Like, we have Chris Christie trying to do that Donald Duck line, which bombed spectacularly. We got a new meme react out of it. Like, everyone's trying to fucking Gobby Jump now, and now, like, both sides, like, oh, God, why? You're sending a Bud Light, for fuck's sake. The state of American politics, Brian. Politics is at its best when I don't have to care about it.
But, Jem, you know what I like about this? I bet you see another little... The ones that care, you see another little dip in Bud Light stock because of this move.
It probably will happen.
So, you know what? That's kind of why I support it.
They hate them, some John Fetterman, too, so I can see it happening, too.
I mean, as if PA... Number one, John Fetterman, you want to be the everyman, you want to be part of PA and all this, you're whatever. You don't fucking put Yingling. You don't put your own states like the thing that's like... You got to go for that corny-ass joke.
Every man my ass.
Yep. So, yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't escape Bud Light, but... You know what? Makes him look like an ass. Probably brings down Bud Light stock. 2 negatives equal to positive, Jim. That's all I'm saying.
It's been happening a lot, so let's just keep that train rolling, I guess.
But, Jim, let's move on to something a little more fun. And we haven't done a weird beer
more
item.
Fun than Wacky Senators?
Do you know what a toboggan is, Jim?
I do know what a toboggan is, Brian.
What is it, Jim?
Why don't you tell me?
Jim, you have no fucking idea what
it's the fancy ass sleds. It's the big sleds and shit.
That's a sled.
Yeah.
So in Oktoberfest, they're calling it the human toboggan. It just looks like a conveyor belt.
Yeah, so if you're on the video version,
and I have it playing,
you'll have it playing. Talking. If you're on the audio version, imagine, it's just like a sloped wooden fucking, It's not even steps. It's just like, sloped wood going up, like 45-degree angle, and just this leather belt that's just constantly running, like a conveyor belt, like Brian said. And the thing of it is, like, it leads up to a big slide that people go down at Oktoberfest. But it's blowing up on TikTok. Like, I saw this thanks to my wife. Because she'll just sit there and watch compilations of people failing at trying to get up this thing. Now, you're at Oktoberfest. You're drinking all goddamn day.
Yeah.
So, that's why it's funny, because they have, like 6 helpers on the side to help people actually get up the goddamn thing. Because, like, almost everyone just wipes out instantly.
Sure.
And that's where the fun of it is. So, I gotta admit, it's a funny-looking idea. I really, really, really want to try it.
Yeah. Jim, you know why I like this?
And my wife hates me right now because I keep telling her I'm going to fucking rock it if I ever did it, no matter how drunk I was. And she gets mad going bullshit. And I keep doubling down on my confidence in it. Knowing full well, I would take a fucking header on it. But
you would take one step and land on your ass, somehow end up sideways. Then your underwear would pull up over your head, or it would completely bare ass you, and you would get stuck in. Like, it would just be awful, Jim.
I'd lose like 4 layers of skin somehow. Oh, yeah, I'd find a way to make it as bad as possible.
What I genuinely enjoy about this, Jim, this is like legit, like, at least the video I'm showing right now, this wasn't meant ironically, this wasn't set up with the intent of it being a TikTok thing or a viral. This is like just a legit fun thing. Like, it's as wholesome as a bunch of drunk idiots doing something can be.
Goofy drunk challenge, yes.
So I like it. I appreciate it. We need more shit like that. Less,
if you go to Oktoberfest, if you're there at all, or it might be, is it over yet? I don't know what the schedule is.
Oktoberfest, I believe, goes till next week. Let me make sure. I know when I wrote the article last year, I knew it. It's tomorrow.
Oh,
tomorrow is the last day.
Well, this will be over by then. Well,
yeah.
All right, next year, someone go to Oktoberfest, wear our shirt while there. We'll send you a shirt. We'll send you a shirt to wear it as you go up this thing.
Absolutely. So yeah, no, I like it, Jim. It's a good call. I applaud that. And you know what, Jim? If we have to, I'll build one out back and let you try it.
Oh.
But Jim, we go from fun, just people enjoying it, to good old-fashioned capitalism.
Brian, what about the poor developers?
Well, how does Capcom feel about game pricing, Jim?
Well, Brian, you know how most games these days are like $70 new? Still probably too low, says the Capcom exec. I think raising unit prices is a healthy business model. So this was all over the place. The article below is from Eurogamer. So, Capcom's president and COO said that he thinks game prices should go up.
Let me correct you for one thing. So he's actually just saying, hey, in general, a minimum now should be 70. Like, most of them are still actually at 60.
Right,
but
I
he's
was
saying
reading the goddamn article.
No, but you had mentioned a second ago that he wants it higher than 70. I was just correcting you.
Oh, yeah, whatever, fine. So, yes. So, Mr. Sujimoto said in the comments at this year's Tokyo Game Show, it's a blah, 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 Japanese organization putting all the Japanese things out there. He says, personally, I feel that game prices are too low, citing development costs and a need to increase wages. Development costs are now about 100 times more than they were during the Famicom era, but software prices haven't gone up to that extent. There's also a need to raise wages in order to attract talent. Seeing as wages are rising in the industry as a whole, I think raising unit prices is a healthy business model. So the article goes on to list how Capcom hasn't really fully jumped onto the $70 model yet, since Resident Evil 4 Remake and Street Fighter 6 and Exo Primo, which I don't know anything about, they were all priced at $60 each. But he's saying it is very possible that they will start to do the price increase. And, the price increase has been really heavily criticized in a lot of ways, because you have games like Tears of the Kingdom, which is just a fancier Breath of the Wild based on a 7-year-old engine, being priced at $70, or the Switch version of Mortal Kombat 1, which runs and looks like shit, being priced at $70. So, yeah, this was a quote that did not go over well with the gamers, Brian. Very mad. Very, very mad.
But you know what? You and I have talked about this. I don't understand how game pricing really hasn't gone up. I remember Super NES and Genesis games being $60. I don't know how.
Well, there were random like special ones, like fucking Street Fighter 2 when it like base Street Fighter 2 when it first came out. I think it was like $90 to $100, something crazy like that.
But so then that strengthens my argument, right? Like, how has 50 and 60 been this thing that's kind of always been my mind? Like, if I'm getting a new game, it's $50 or $60. It's like where my mind has always been at. And I can appreciate what I've always said is I would much rather them just say games are 80 or 90 or even $100, but there's no DLC. There's no bullshit pass. Like, incorporate all that into your base game.
Any new content you'll just get when it comes out.
Just make it easier for that. But the big but here is, just like in construction and everything else, the problem is, like, the whole tide rises, and these shit-ass games that should not be full price think, well, games now are standard $70, $80. Our game should be that. Like you just said. I look at examples like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th. They've never attempted to charge for full price, and more games need to follow that model. Even if it's a AAA game that may seem like it should, when it's just a reskin of the same old shit or something, it shouldn't automatically get that $70 or $80. It's like when you get a brand new game with a new engine and all that, there's the price hike. I do think, honestly, anything coming out on a Switch should have a 10% or 20% decrease in price. Like, honestly, like, if you are comparing it across, and I'm talking third-party games. First-party games, they'll charge whatever they want because people will buy whatever they want.
Right.
But you are getting a lesser version of most games if they're third-party games between the major consoles. So, yeah, I think Mortal Kombat 1, if it's $70 everywhere else, it should be $50 on the Switch. Like, and that's something NetherRealms could control or whatever. So I'm not in disagreement. I do think games, milk, gas, everything else in our lives has gone up pretty goddamn steep. Video games have not. And maybe that also helps weed out some of the more bullshitty games. I don't know. Or maybe it's just, I don't know. I do believe that there should be a little bit of a hike. But like I said, I would prefer a hike with some now, like, pull back some of the bullshit of the DLCs and the microtransactions.
Well, Brian, unfortunately, we live in the real world. We would. Man, I cannot talk tonight. But, Brian, as we've seen time and time again, you give an inch and they take a mile. So there's no way in hell that you would ever have, like you could say, oh, we'll charge $100 for it, but you'll get every piece of content that ever comes out. Yeah, that might work for like 6 months, but then someone's going to be the asshole who's going to be the one who's going to be like, oh, we're going to charge $100 for this. And then they're still going to charge for DLC, and it'll probably be a hit enough that everyone goes, fuck it, I still want more, and they just do it. And then that becomes the norm. So, as much as I would love to say, it's going to be capped off at this, realistically, it's never going to happen that way. Yeah. But again, like, is it a developer only thing? Because like Capcom doesn't have to only put out AAA games that they have to charge $70 for. Like they could put out some smaller games that you charge $40 for, and like, hope for a surprise hit and shit like that to help finance a bigger game that you can take more of a risk on while still keeping it like an affordable price. So I don't know. I'm an end user. I don't care about developers and their woes. So I don't want to pay more. Fuck them.
I mean, the biggest games right now in the world, Warzone is free. Fortnite is free. Minecraft. Was that? I mean, I feel like on so many times it's free, but I think it does have a technical
Minecraft.
base.
I mean, I forget. See, I forget if back in its open beta days, if it probably was free or a small price then.
Like
but no,
$20
Minecraft isn't free. You have to pay for it for most things.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't know. Maybe the model is get it as close to free, and then everything outside of it is DLC. I don't know. Like, I don't know what makes more sense. Like, you just raise the unit price. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm confused. I could see gamers being mad about this, but that's one where it's like, if it hikes to 70, whatever. Like, if you really want to buy a brand new game, for something that presumably, I think the standard time for games anymore when I play is like you're getting minimal, usually 16 hours of fun. Whereas back in the day, games could last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, so I look at that, the value of how many hours you're going to get out of this thing, not including replays, just like base content. It's worth your time, right? Like, I don't know. It's a couple movies worth. You know, like you go to the movies nowadays, price of movie tickets are like almost $20 a single ticket. If you get like the HD or 3D it's insane. So why can't games go up? I don't know.
They can't because I don't want them to. Then again, I don't buy anything new anyway, so.
That's probably why I don't care the most. I get 3 new games a year, so it's not that big of a deal to me.
Like, I've been saying this for years now, like, just wait 3 months. Like,
exactly.
Do you need it that badly? Because in 3 months, it'll probably be at least 20 to 30% off, if not half off.
Yeah, so that would be the smart money. And especially now, like, I just see the future of gaming in general. Like, it's going to be like all these streaming services. We needed to cut the cord with cable because it was too expensive. And now there's so many fucking streaming services. Everyone's like, maybe go back to cable. Like, this shit's getting out of control. Everyone and their mother started it. Once WWE got their own streaming service, I was like, oh, I know this is going to turn terrible.
I miss the base WWE network. When it went to Peacock, it went to such shit. Yeah. Peacock sucks. The network was awesome. That ran after like the first like 3 months. It ran great. It had a huge library. It had a good UI. And then they sold the Peacock for all the money. And can't blame them for doing it. But fuck.
That's how it happens, Jim. That's how it happens. So
well, yeah, Brian. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Good transition right there. Because let's talk about WWE real fast, Brian. Why don't we do a little dive, Brian? WWE 2K22. We want to talk about the gamers being mad. They are shutting down their servers. A game that has been out for all of 20 months is going to have all of its online shit go away.
I didn't realize how common, I've talked about servers being shut down for competitors like DBD and these multiplayer only games. I didn't realize servers shutting down were so prevalent in series like that. Like,
I didn't realize it was either. Like, I thought these stayed up for a long time.
Yeah, if not for shit, you can still go back. Once a year, I go play Call of Duty World at War on 360. You can still get servers. Yeah, there's maybe 30 to 40 people playing in the world. But guess what? I can still play a goddamn game. How can they keep servers up and something like 2K can't keep some shit up after 20 months? That's... And if you look at the comments, here's what's insane. Some people are saying like SmackDown versus Raw 2007 servers are still up. What the fuck are these people like? So
that means it's got to be a 2K Games decision. Like, I doubt it's a WWE thing. They probably don't care.
No, why would they care? I mean, they probably get residuals on everything. So once the server goes down, the big thing is everything online goes down, which includes matches, community creations. So one of the big selling points for me for any modern...
Right. All online modes and functions, including matches and community creations, are no longer available. Holy shit. Right, in the 13 and 14 days, you downloaded how many fucking user-created people?
I filled up all 100 creator wrestler spots with them. And that's the thing is, like, I assume once you download them, it stays on you. But, like, if you don't, then you miss out. I guess, I don't know. I also look at, like, does 2K wrestling, does modern wrestling games, do people do a lot of online matches?
I would assume.
I've never used an online service for any wrestling video game. I was always more like either I'm playing locally with a buddy or running that shit kind of single player. But either way, I do really feel like this is 2K just making it. And if you look at the tweet, it's coming from their 2K23 and they're saying now is a really good time to upgrade to 2K23. So It just
I can go away in a year. Oh, good luck having people buy it now.
Well, that's my point.
Invested.
What I'm curious is, like, does that happen to all sports games? Like all the major.
Like, I know they shut down eventually, but I haven't heard of like you think if you had heard of like a Madden or an MLB The Show shutting down after like a really short time, you'd hear about it more. But
yeah,
you don't. So it probably doesn't happen. Pardon me. I'm sure they eventually shut down, but like not a year and a half. Like we just talked about it 2 weeks ago for The Evil Dead. Like that's shutting down super fast. But that was a niche game in a flooded market of likewise games. So it's like it sucks, but I kind of got it.
Yeah.
WWE, like wrestling games, you only have WWE and you have the one AEW game. It's not like there's like competition for it or any reason to not keep it going if people are still doing it. I don't get it.
To me it's a terrible idea. It's a weird precedent that they're gonna set, and honestly, I just look at this has to be a greed thing. It can't be because if they can't afford it. I mean, unless for some reason they're looking and their player base is literally down to like 20 people using it, and they're like, what's the purpose? But I can't imagine. Like I'm sure year-to-year releases for any sports franchise video game does drop dramatically from year to year. Like,
yeah,
maybe it's 80%. I don't know what the number is, but fuck, man, what is it really costing you to keep a server alive so people could still do that shit?
And I think people really liked 22 as well. So, like, it's, you know, the games are kind of hit and miss. So you're gonna shut off the one that people really like?
But Jim,
like you can't just
2K.
shut off like. You can't show off like 17 and 18 and 20 and fucking even Battlegrounds. No one cares about Battlegrounds. Shut that off. Like, leave the one people are playing and like up then. I don't know, man. Bad luck. Bad mojo.
It is bad. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. That's the kind of shit. We talked about preservation and all this shit. Like, that's a core feature. Yes, you still have the base game. You still have plenty of content with it, but you can't do online matches and online community creations. That's a pretty big deal.
Brian, there's some poor fuck out there who has like 70 versions of Nails downloaded to his computer that he'll never be able to play with again.
Well, you know what? I don't feel bad for that guy. No one should have that many versions of Nails.
Brian, there should be more versions of Nails.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Just nothing but Nails and Ludwig Borga.
You're the Shockmaster.
Maybe I am, Brian. Give me that Ole Anderson voice.
Just falling through.
Give me that smooth, sexy Ole Anderson voice. You know there was a War Games where Shockmaster came in and he like won it for his team in 2 minutes? Like they ditched like the the Stormtrooper mask and he just like dressed like a construction worker.
Jim, we live in a world where Repo Man didn't he win the Intercontinental Championship?
I don't think he won any titles. There's no way he won the IC belt.
I thought he did.
He might have tried to steal it.
I'm telling you, Jim, I think...
You know what, Brian? You look it up because I don't want to blow up my computer. I'm on borrowed time as is. But while Brian looks that up, we're going to move back into the realm of gaming executives with a memo that was put out. So GameStop, they've got them a new CEO. Ryan Cohen sent out a memo to his employees on September 28th on his taking over. And he basically says this: subject, survival. I will get straight to the point. It is not sustainable for GameStop to operate a money-losing business. The mission is to operate effectively and profitably. Our expense structure must allow us to endure any adverse scenario. Whether it's a difficult economy or revenue declaration from shrinking software, we must be profitable. Our job is to make sure GameStop is here for decades to come. Extreme fragility or frugality is required. Every expense of the company must be scrutinized under a microscope and all waste eliminated. The company has no use for delegators and money wasters. I expect everyone to treat the company money like their own and lead by example. So he goes saying prospering in retail means survival. If we survive, we stay in the game. The deadly sins. I expect everyone to roll up their sleeves and work hard. I'm not getting paid, so I'm either going to go down with the ship or turning the company around. I much prefer the latter. It won't be easy. Best of luck to all, Ryan. So Ryan Cohen is he's one of those young entrepreneurs. He was like one of those like big name 40 under 40 guys. What the fuck? What is it? Chewy.com. He's the guy who set that up. And he eventually sold it for like billions. So he's had a lot of success before. And I think like 3 or 4 years ago, he bought like a decent amount of stock in GameStop. And yeah, they just named him CEO. So the guy has a pedigree of success in business. And I like the directness of his memo. Like, it basically just says what everyone's been thinking of. How has GameStop still been around all this time? And yeah, he's not making any money as CEO. So that's I mean, even if he's probably got the money where it doesn't matter anyway, and he's got residuals from 1,000 other things. So he doesn't care. But that's a leadership tactic right there. I gotta admit.
I was gonna say I don't hate it. Like, I can understand to an outside observer.
Wait, Brian, shut the fuck up real quick. Did Repo Man win the IC belt?
He did not. He went against the British Bulldog and almost won it, but lost. So I knew he had something tied to it, but no, he did not win it. But no, this guy,
say Jimmy was right.
I don't hate that this guy said what he said. Besides, I said I think he won it. I didn't say I know.
Don't you fucking backtrack.
So I'm going to say that I was right again. But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, if you've ever worked in a corporate job, you've seen much worse bullshitty memos that like.
Thank God he didn't say family. Thank God.
Yeah. Like, he's someone that's like, it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, he's kind of being a dick. But it's like, dude, he's just saying, like, hey, turn this shit around or we fail. Like, I don't have a major issue with what he said. And yeah, if he's I don't know if he's self-made, but he knows business enough with Chewy.com, all this other shit. So he's doing something right in life. I don't know how he became CEO of GameStop, but cool.
Yeah, I mean, he was a majority stockholder of some, like, not the majority holder, but, he had a decent chunk. And I guess they're like, oh, he's a guy with a name. Let's make him boss. He's done well before.
I'm going to say something. I don't know if it's controversial or not. I very, very, very much don't want GameStop to fail, because I do not only want to rely on Amazon or Best Buy for my games at this point.
Same.
So I want whoever can turn GameStop around and bring it to some version of, like, just keep it a game store. I don't need it as my fucking Funko location and toy location. As you said, I think the one near us is trying to bring back retro games again. Like,
a decent number of them are bringing them back from what I've seen.
Just leave me last generation games at least. So that was what I loved most about GameStop. It was a reliable place to go, get a great bunch of great games on really, really good pricing. Like, the reason why I have the 360 collection and some of the collections I do is because of GameStop. So,
oh yeah, they're always dumping stock. Like, they will have, depending on the time of year, they'll have, like, buy 4 or 5 games for under $20 and shit like that.
Yeah.
From a certain generation. So you can clean up if you really want to.
So yeah, no, I don't have an issue with it. From the people's comments, it didn't seem like they were that crazy about being negative. Like, some were like, "Oh, bullshit, he's probably making millions," just shitting on his workers. But
well, he's already got stock in the company, so maybe he just doesn't need the salary. So I mean, it could be one of those things where it's like, yeah, your money's already going to be tied to GameStop anyway. So, if it's successful, then you don't need to take your however many hundred thousands of years to be the CEO. That kind of bullshit. But still, it's like, it's putting your foot forward and, trying to relate to the common man down there. I don't hate it, like you said.
No, it's really not that big of a deal.
No, like, I didn't see, like, a ton of hate for it. It was more people being surprised that a new CEO came in and said, yeah, we're in trouble, and made it public like that.
Cool. I like it. Let's see where that takes us. I mean, there's a situation like that with CEOs, and then there's the opposite end of spectrum, Jim. We got CEO of PlayStation.
Oh, let's suck some dick on the way out, Brian. Let's get to it.
So Jim Ryan, who, I'll be honest, I don't know him. If you just said that name, I wouldn't have known who it is. But he was a CEO for PlayStation. He oversaw the launch of the PS5. He just announced his retirement, and seems like some folks are pretty happy about this. Now, the only thing I will say, Jim, is the one article you gave me. It's finally opening up now, but for a moment there, it wouldn't let me see any of his quote-unquote flubs. So I'm sure you read deeper into it, but what were his issues? So maybe that's what I missed.
So yeah, Jim Ryan, he's been around PlayStation, I think, since the first one launched. Like, he just started as a guy in marketing, and he's been around there forever. And like you said, he's been CEO for the PS5's launch. He's been CEO for the past 4 years. And he's kind of had a little bit of a rocky run as CEO, because he always just like kind of says things that kind of just pisses people off.
Sounds like what most CEOs do, but go on.
Yeah, but he does it, like, I guess, a little more publicly, and like he doesn't really try to, I guess, connect with the history of PlayStation or gamers, or he's not like a tactful guy. So, like, at one point he made all the retro gaming fans mad by saying that old PS1 and PS2 games, quote unquote, looked ancient. Like, why would anyone play this? And we know the retro people, they can take it a little too seriously sometimes. So, I mean, if you're trying to sell the PS4 and 5s, I get it. But, if you've been around forever, you could at least pretend to care about the legacy of the thing you've been working on this whole time. He's also said dumb shit about, like, he claimed that people never played games before PlayStation in the Middle East, which is just, like, wrong. And apparently, like, when Roe vs. Wade got overturned in the Supreme Court last year, all the companies would come out and, like, make a stand either way. And he just went very down the middle, which I don't think is bad to go down the middle if you don't want to get involved in the political side of it. Like, if you want to, sure, go nuts. And if not, like, you're a company, I get it. I don't need my companies to stand for my political beliefs in any way, but he said we owe it to each other and to PlayStation's millions of users to respect differences of opinion among everyone in our internal and external communities. Which, fine. But then he went on and, like, talked about his, like, cats and a dog for a while. Everyone's like, this is not the time for this crap, right? So, like, I don't know if he's, like, a really bad guy, but he seems like a guy who just really can't read the room when he talks. But yeah, apparently him retiring, his retirement. But, here's the thing, though. He's overseeing the launch of the PS5, which has been rocky and not all of his fault because of COVID. But he's, also the guy who, like, we were talking about a few weeks ago with these crazy, or even last week with the roundtable, talking about the price hike with PlayStation Plus and how everyone's going, why the fuck are you charging this much for a system that's not that great yet? And all these different things. So, yeah, he's had a weird run. He's kind of been successful despite himself, but, I mean, it's like PlayStation. It's not like it's not going to sell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hearing what you just said, none of those trigger me as, like, he's made major flubs. At the end of the day, PlayStation has been successful. It sounds like a guy who he's not really in the video game culture, even though that's his job, if that makes sense. Like,
and yeah, it's like weird that he's been around it for so long, but like doesn't know how to appeal.
It sounds like, yeah, he has no finger on the pulse of, like, I guarantee you he probably doesn't even know how to play games. Like,
especially with his marketing background. That's what he came in with.
That's what I mean. Like, so with a marketing background, like, it reads like it'd be different if it was like he was a game developer at PlayStation and took the reins. That would be a very different story versus, yeah, this is a guy that's just aimed at selling products. So it almost makes sense. A guy with that mindset, like, yeah, why would people today who have PS5s want to play PS1 and PS2 games? Like, his mind isn't geared toward that. It's always towards cutting edge and whatever. I even guarantee you there's probably, like, that statement you said. What did he say? Something about no one played video games in the Middle East except before PS1.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some, like, factoid he read somewhere where it's like maybe the PS1 was the first major seller where everything else before that might have been secondhand from other countries. Like, there's probably some, like, little sliver of truth where he's like, that's what I meant. Like, it's the first distributed there. I don't know. Like, it just sounds like a dude that's just out of touch. That's what I don't read this as like this guy who did some heinous shit like some other companies we've read about.
Yeah, and like I get that, like in like we're talking about social media where like everyone was like, cheering that he's gone, and yeah, like we've talked that he's made some like crap decisions business wise too that annoy people, but it's again at the end of the day like being out of touch on social media, it doesn't matter that much if you're still selling all the product anyway. Like the PS5, for all of its problems and for like its lack of must-have games, it's still a huge hit of a system.
Yeah, I mean,
like you can't say his run was like a failure. Like, yeah, he pissed off people on Twitter, but in a lot of ways, it's probably gonna be a lot of people who wouldn't be buying them anyway, or already bought it and just want to look good. So it doesn't matter.
In the history books, if for some reason you ever look them up, the highlights in Wiki or any other whatever form of that is, it'll be, yeah, he oversaw a very prosperous period of PlayStation. That'll be the footnote for this guy. It's not going to be any of this other shit. Unless you dive deep.
It's really not. So, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, people can be glad he's gone and, yeah, he's out of touch, but, I mean, whatever. Like, I guess I just don't really care either way. I was really surprised when I heard about it.
It's like you don't care, and also it's like, well, who's going to replace him? Do you think they're going to be a saint? Like, who's the backup? That do you think it's going to be someone with no flaws?
And it's like, what do you want as a company? Like everyone, like let's talk about Nintendo for a second. Like everyone, especially online, they loved Satoru Iwata. Like he was started as a lowly little game developer for HAL Laboratories, worked his way up. He made Kirby, shit like that. Like, beloved by all, just this, friendly little Japanese man who just seemed to really love video games and tried to make it as accessible as possible for everyone. But, I mean, he oversaw the launch of the 3DS, and he was around for the Wii U. Like, he was around for a lot of failure. Like, it wasn't a very prosperous time for Nintendo. Like, I mean, the DS sold, like, gangbusters anyway. And, like, the Wii. Like, he oversaw the Wii. And weird idea that didn't sell games, but it sold all the consoles. So that was still a success. Like, do you want that? Or do you just want, like, the juggernaut that PlayStation had with the 4 and 5 kind of deal? And just go, oh, no, people online don't like me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. People just want to find something to bitch about. And you and I have talked about many things where there's revisionist histories to everything. I don't know what it is. I think that's one of the things I dislike about modern generation, if you will. No one can have a good history. Everyone has like as we know, humans are flawed. But like instead of
except for me.
You're very flawed. But like people always just want to look back and be like, okay, yeah, he did all this good stuff, but what about this one thing he did? Or what about this one? Like that's kind of what I'm seeing with this guy. Like he oversaw the PlayStation 5 and some of the best games that have ever been released. Now you're pointing to like these little minor things where I'm like, who cares? Like you're pointing out things he said, not things he actually did. Like, oh, PlayStation, who would want to play that? They're old looking. Is that really that egregious of a fucking thing that someone does? I don't know. I think it's just people overreacting. Whatever. He's going off to retirement. We'll see what happens with them. But yeah, we'll see who the next guy is, if he's the saint that everyone thinks they need.
Yep. I mean, for as bad as Jim Ryan was, Brian, at least he wasn't fucking Fonzie. Because our last topic for tonight, and I know this is something that you probably don't have a finger on the pulse of that much, but Brian, what do you know? Like, do you know anything of Paprium?
You talked extensively about it. And when I saw this, what confused the shit out of me was, didn't this game already come? Like, I'm looking at it right now. It came out in December of 2020. It had an initial Kickstarter in 2012. And I'm looking at it released 2020, which is why I'm kind of confused. Like, what is this thing talking about a second Kickstarter for?
Oh. Well,
so maybe
Brian,
you can enlighten me here, because I'm very confused.
Brian, you are in for a treat, Brian. So, for anyone out there who doesn't know the history of this game, Paprium was one of the, like, really big first gaming Kickstarters. So it promised this insane looking game for base Genesis hardware coming out on a Genesis cartridge that would like push all the graphics to its limits, would have sound quality that you would never have heard before and stuff like that. And people hopped on it, and people poured money into it. And I forget what, I could look it up, but I don't really care that much. And it went into development hell, Brian, as we see many times on Kickstarter. For a long time, people thought it was just never coming out. Like you said it. It got funded in 2012, didn't come out until 2020. And guess what, Brian? It was not a smooth launch either, because a lot of people still have not gotten their copies. A lot of people who have gotten their copies can't play the game because certain versions of the cartridge don't work on certain chipsets of different versions of the Sega Genesis. And so there's a lot of people out there who got their game who just can't play it. It doesn't fucking work.
That's insane.
It came packaged in this weird, fucking really weird, like fold out box kind of packaging, and just not like a Genesis clamshell. And it like jingles when you like open it, because you have to like screw in its own heatsink to it. I think you have to like open a cartridge yourself to put it in there.
Why would you do that?
There's just so much weird shit, and Fonzie himself is just like not a likable guy. Like, he's one of these very arrogant indie developers who thinks he's like this shit. But you know, say what you want about Phil Fish,
wait,
but at least
hold on. When you keep saying Fonzie, do you mean Watermelon?
Fonzie's like, he is Watermelon. He's like the main head of creative and development behind them.
Okay.
Like he's like the main guy.
Gotcha.
So like Watermelon Games is his studio that he developed, but like it's really just this Fonzie guy. So that you were asking about what's this other Kickstarter? Well, while people are complaining about their broken cartridges and still not getting their orders of the original Kickstarter run that took 8 years of Paprium, he did another Kickstarter to bring it to more modern systems. So that Kickstarter is out there now, and he wanted to bring it to all next-gen systems: Steam, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, the Switch, for some fucking reason the Game Gear, and like he had all these delusions of bringing it to everywhere. And for all the problems and all the bad press and the horrible release that Paprium had, Brian, this second Kickstarter still had 3,200 backers and raised almost $900,000.
Jesus Christ.
So,
People, fuck. Spend your money the right way, dude. It's like gym with limited runs. Stop spending money on shit that you know is gonna fuck up or get to you later, not get to you at all. God.
So I forget when this second Kickstarter initially went up. I'm trying to find it on the page itself, and I'm having trouble finding the date. I want to say it was like 2021. I gotta say, apparently, like, they made a limited like edition like fighting stick to use as a control thing, and apparently that's like randomly one of the best sticks like ever made for a third-party company.
Don't care.
That's random and weird, but yeah. He's also the guy who was behind Pierce Solar, which was like a really big indie thing at the time in like 2010-ish. Even though you ask people, it's kind of like a meh JRPG. So, I don't know, not a genre I care about anyway. But yeah, very, very fucking. I'm gonna check the updates real quick. See if I can see when this all got funded and everything like that. Oh yeah, so like the 20th update was from 2021. So, oh yeah, 2021, Brian. That's when December of 2021 is when they did their second update. And guess what? There have been like no updates after the fact. I think Watermelon's site currently doesn't work right now, and it doesn't work really well.
It doesn't, because I clicked on it, and it's like my 6-year-old put together a website. Like, he just learned how to do something, and it just isn't working.
So how I found out about this is from Billy Time Games, Billy Time G on Twitter. This is Watermelon's latest update for you know what on Kickstarter. Credit to this guy, he didn't want to bash it, but you know, I don't care, so I will. No update on the downloaded website. No update on the digital copies. No update on the other ports. No update about the missed deadline. Just give me 2 weeks, bruh. Throw in a Twitch. And the exact thing is, hello everyone. Some news. Time is passing, but we are working hard. Concerning the Made in France, quote unquote, we are awaiting the final results of feasibility study started a few months ago. I don't know what that's about. I know on their Kickstarter page they talked about a Made in Brazil version of the game, which I guess would make it like easier to ship to people in Brazil or cheaper, or like a special thing like that. I don't know. So maybe it's along the same lines. But he says, P.S. If anyone wonders, France has been so deindustrialized that we've got to plan all from the ground up with our tiny little hands, a challenge we are used to, fortunately. Thank you for your patience. For anyone willing to contact us, please bear the extended amount of time. Regards, Watermelon. So,
Goddamn
yeah.
French. That's the lesson here.
Well,
don't trust the French.
Obviously. But, and like, on their Kickstarter, they were touting this, like, these ports with, like, their homegrown, built from the ground up, like, emulation porting system to easily port what they did on the Genesis to everywhere else to have it be perfect. So it sounds like a lot of bullshit. And yeah, like,
I mean, here's the deal. Like, how many times are we going to hear about these companies that do stupid dog shit things like this? Also read a few comments into this guy. This game is available. Download the ROM. Hack it. Like, this shit's available. You don't need it for PS4. You don't need it for PS5. You don't need it for Switch. You certainly don't need it for fucking Game Gear. I'm sorry. Like, backers, I feel bad for you. I don't know how a second round of backers got to that number. But my God, guys. Like, stop jumping on these retro-ass games. Give them some room to breathe. See if it's worth it. Play the ROM first. If you fall in love, it's your favorite game of all time, and you want to back it. Makes sense to me. But 3,200 backers.
But fuck. Yeah, I guess ROMs have been ripped and, like, quote unquote ripped and shit like that. So if they're out there, then yeah, fucking play it that way. Fuck Fonzie. But there is one comment that like kind of makes that Made in France a little more sense, where it says, even if it is not so clear, Fonzie initially planned to get back components from some containers scattered in China, then tried to get assembly made remotely as he came back to France. He mentioned he could train his contacts there remotely. This obviously did not work out as he decided to switch to manufacturing the game in France. At least that's how I understand it. There were already people producing games in France such as Broke Studios and Neofit. I do not know all the details, but it seems feasible. So, probably just some fuckery where he was trying to, transfer all the building of the game back to France. I don't know.
Moral of the story is, stop backing these games that... I'm sorry. Like, that, I know the hope is there. You see a thing. Like, I've talked about how long I've been fans of Puppet Combo, right? But if all of a sudden they start a Kickstarter, like, we're going to make a brand new game. Just to, like, and I've played dozens of their games. I still would be like, let me wait and see if they're able to deliver. Like, because even them, through Patreon, I see the delay schedules in them. Granted, I came on when there was already like 30 games available, but like, goddamn, guys, come on, be smarter with this shit. And stop.
I remember when Paprium put up their second Kickstarter for like the ports and the Game Gear port and all that shit, and I saw a lot of people being like, "This is probably a bad idea, but I really want these ports." I'm like, "You fucking fools! Like, what are you doing? What did you just go through for 8 years?" Like, our buddy of the show, Burn Retinas, he had a great video of, like, I guess circa 2018-ish that he called Do We Even Need Paprium Anymore? Where he made a case of, like, there's so many good retro beat-em-ups that have come out that, like, even if it never comes out, it's, like, no big loss. Like, no one really cares. And, like, the game came out and, like, people seem to like it, but it's not like the thing that, like, it had that much of a buzz that, like, someone came in to make sure that everyone could, or more so, could get it.
Yeah.
So, it's just, I don't know, man. It's such a weird situation. Like, fools in their money. There's companies out there like Bitmap Bureau who, like, they started with Xenocrisis. Almost the same idea, taking a game, putting it on a retro console, and pushing it to its absolute limits to give you an experience you never thought you would have ever seen on there. And to their fucking eternal credit, not only did they nail it, they've now ported it to almost, like, every system. And they've had, for the most part, pretty good ports to come out on, like, everything. And they're even working on a Super NES version now, which looks awesome. And, like, they've made other games where it's like, I love Bitmap Bureau's games. I will admit that they're all probably a little overpriced, but for what they are, they're really well-made titles. It's like there's a way you can be this kind of indie throwback studio and do it really, really well. And they took the success of their first title and they didn't have to do other Kickstarters. Well, they did for Battle Axe, but yeah, I mean, like, there's a way you could easily do this, and Watermelon just does it wrong every single fucking time. How do you get $900,000 more dollars? I don't understand you people.
You know, there's a part of me that goes, I like these companies that do this shit, like make a game for an old retro console. But then there's another part of me that's thinking, like, as you're talking about that, and it just sparked in my mind, like, what does that do to a legit collector or call it historian who wants to look back on, like, games developed for a Genesis or a Super NES? Do you need to include that in that list now?
Oh,
like,
you have asterisks.
That, yeah, like, it kind of fucks with the order, right? Like there's something to be said about, like, there was a time and place for that console. Just make ROMs. Like, I don't know. There's something about the physical releases, and hey, our buddies Retro Room, they do it for the Game Boy. Like, great games, fun games. But now, like, I don't know. Hearing you say it, I'm kind of like, why are you doing that?
You know what? It's fine with a Kickstarter because then the people who want it and want their physical versions, they, quote unquote, should be guaranteed to get it. Fucking Fonzie. So at least, you know, you can judge the interest for this niche part of it, and then just, you know, put the ROMs on other consoles and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like you know, like Rue, like they got Gelatinous put onto the Evercade and stuff like that, and I think they're getting other ports. So, you know, give it to the people where they want to get it, and then throw it everywhere else after the fact. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Guys, we say it all the time. I say this shit about Nintendo, and that's fucking Nintendo. But these lower ranked dudes, like, come on, man, we gotta be smarter about this. And
like, you know what? Like, I don't besmirch anyone for, like, taking a risk or a gamble on, like, a studio you never heard of before. Because with these Kickstarters, it's like, yeah, there's always a risk that you can not get the product and they could go under and be a flop. It happens all the time on Kickstarter.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, but you're taking a gamble with an unknown entity. But with fucking Watermelon, you know what you're getting at this point. You've had 2 releases that have had very troubled and mixed results. Why in the fuck would you give him more money after being burned at least once, if not twice?
Jim, would you say it's the same as anyone buying from Limited Run?
Anyone who buys more than a fucking standard edition, definitely.
Nope. Don't caveat that. Just if you buy from Limited Run. That's all you need to say.
I do have to say one thing.
Nope, you're wrong. Just accept you're wrong. Every time we've ever done this, you're wrong.
Oh, I am wrong for doing it. I'm still not going to buy from them again. But I do have to say, once you finally get a hold of someone at their customer service, they were pretty good about being like, all right, this didn't come. All right, we'll just send you another one. So I'm waiting for that to come in. So time will be... I have to give credit where it's due, Brian, because the customer service rep was... They were trying to help. I'll give
But you just put so many caveats in front of that with...
I know.
Until I could finally... No. What I'm saying is, you're like, it took me forever, but I was finally able to get someone. And when I was, now I just wait an indefinite period of time, even longer.
Until it maybe comes in. Yes.
If it comes in.
Right. The beauty of this is that's called content, my friend, because we can track the entire journey of me getting fucked over on the delivery of a game until the end point through customer service and through here. Right, we get a case study out of it.
Have you learned your lesson, Jim?
Yeah, I'm really.
Are you going to? Okay, are you?
I don't plan on ever using them again.
I mean, like I said, I get it. Trust me. Sometimes I see their shit. It still flashes across my Twitter, and it's like, oh, that is a game I would have liked to get. But I'm also like, especially you. What I don't understand is someone like you. Some of the games they put out there, like they put out like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties on, I think like Xbox, PlayStation, Switch. Like,
yeah.
And that's a game that's like just for the funny factor. Like it would be funny to play that. But I'm like, if me and you truly ever want to do a review of that, we'll just get a ROM. We'll play it. We'll figure it out. I get it.
I still don't know how that never had like a CDI port. That cheeses me. love to play that on the CDI.
Christ, you're saying that now. They'll be like limited run. Be like, look, CDI. And he'll be like,
first day, backer number 1. Put that fucking 00001 right on that fucking barcode right there. That is mine. Back in the game, baby.
But that's our point, guys. You see names like this. You see Limited Run, Watermelon, Tommy Tallarico, whatever. You see certain names. You just don't buy into it. I don't care what it sounds like. I mean, unless you're someone who has money to throw out. 3,200 folks getting up to, what'd you say, 900K?
Just shy of 900. It was like 895,000. Yeah.
That's just too much. It's
Brian,
too much.
The Game Gear faithful, Brian.
Chambers, let's switch to the final question I have for you is, I know you're not doing pumpkin beer, but how is your beer that you cannot pronounce?
My Prometheus. I mean, it's doing the fucking job. It had 3 of them at their 7%, and I'm feeling pretty good right now. You know what? As an IPA, Boggs, you know what? It's a standard IPA. It's weird that they're not calling it a hazy, because it's definitely got the more like citrusy, juicier kind of hints to it, but they're not calling it a hazy IPA. Even though it definitely is more in that realm, I would have to say. But it's juicy. It doesn't have like an obnoxiously hoppy tongue or aftertaste. Okay. So if you're a person who doesn't like IPAs, but you have to drink one for whatever reason, it might not be a bad option for you.
Nice.
And after the first or second, I mean, it's kicking in.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely, with all the beers I've had, I'm feeling them. The Night Owl Pumpkin Ale, as I said, Elysian, they don't miss. That one was 6.7%. It's your standard pumpkin beer, but it's really well done. But probably my favorite from Elysian, the Dark of the Moon. It's their pumpkin stout. So you have the nice stout flavors, you have the pumpkin flavors, and that one was 7.5%. So a couple big boys there. I prefer stouts, but if you are into pumpkin beers, either one is not a bad option if you're like wanting to avoid the overly pumpkin flavor. And of course, come on, Old Faithful for my first beer, Lion's Head. You can't fuck with it. Like, that went down so goddamn smooth. I don't know if I've ever, except for when we were doing our drinking challenge for Call of Duty, if I've ever actually poured a Lion's Head into a glass, which I did tonight. Yeah, it goes down so smooth. I love Lion's Head. It's a PA faithful, but
truly, truly underrated trash beer right there.
But with that, guys, we want to say thank you all so much for watching and listening. If you are watching on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can see every time we put out a new video. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, please hit subscribe. And if you give us a 5-star rating, any comments you leave for us will be read on this Power Hour podcast. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.